From as far back as I can remember, I knew I was a disappointment. Not because my parents said it directly. They did not need to. The look on their faces when I was born said it all. As if they had finally gotten the son they waited for. And then 3 years later, when my sister Valeria arrived, the same look returned. Only this time it was not surprise. It was resignation. I was Elena Vargas, the firstborn daughter, and for them that was never enough. Once when Valeria was still little, I overheard my mother whispering to my father in the kitchen. They thought I could not hear. Maybe the next one will be a boy. There would be no next one. Valeria's birth had complications and the doctors told my mother she could not have more children. So that dream moved to an imaginary future where their daughters would give them grandsons, preferably boys. We grew up in a simple house in a gated community. The routine was always the same. My father left early, my mother handled errands, school and meals. And Valeria learned very quickly how to wrap them around her finger. She would open those big brown eyes, cling to my father's arm and say, "Come on, Dad." His resolve would melt. I, on the other hand, became independent. Not out of bravery, but out of habit. I got used to not expecting hugs, praise, or proud glances. I had the basics: food, uniform, school supplies. But affection was rationed and I was never the priority. Over the years I built my own strength quietly. In my final year of high school, during dinner, I said it casually. "I am going to study economics." My mother froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. "Are you sure, daughter? That is quite demanding." My father did not even pretend. "That is very technical. Would something more suitable not suit you better?" "I do not know pedagogy or nursing." I took a deep breath. I have already been accepted at the National University with a scholarship for my grades. An uncomfortable silence followed. My mother forced a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Well, it is your decision." The disappointment in her voice was almost familiar, like rush hour traffic. Valeria, who was still in high school, leaned back in her chair and smiled sideways. "I think I will study psychology." And just like that, they lit up. "That's wonderful, my love," my mother said, as if she had announced she would save the world. "You have always been so good with people." I just pushed the peas around my plate. By then I already knew fighting for their approval was like hitting a wall. I focused on the only thing that would get me out of there: my future, my independence. I met Sebastian in my second year of university. He was ahead, almost graduating, and we met in the most ordinary way. We bumped into each other in the university library in the finance section. A statistics book fell from my hands and he caught it before it hit the floor. "Are you in Professor Martinez's macro class?" he asked, handing me the book. "I have seen you. You are the one who asks the good questions." My face grew warm. I was not used to being noticed, especially for something positive. "Yes, the one who makes the class run long." Sebastian laughed softly. "No way, that is appreciated. Hey, let me buy you a coffee. I can tell you about the courses you will take next year." That coffee became dinner. Dinner became a movie, and suddenly, without realizing it, he would not let go. For the first time in my life, I felt truly seen. Sebastian never compared me to anyone, never measured me, never made me feel less. He loved me as I was without asking me to change to fit in. When he graduated, he started working at a consulting firm with intense schedules. I continued my studies. He waited, and the day I graduated, without drama or pressure, we decided. We moved in together. We found a small apartment. Nothing luxurious, but it was ours. With thin walls, a tiny living room, and noisy neighbors. We paid rent on time, yet there were weeks when everything went to bills and groceries. The first time I brought Sebastian home, it felt like witnessing a rare miracle. My mother almost shouted with excitement, as if she had known him forever. "What a pleasure, what a pleasure. Stay for lunch. You must come to the end of November gathering. We always have a family meal before December." My father gave him a pat on the shoulder. "Welcome, son. Elena has told us so much about you. Tell me what you are working on." Later they called him son-in-law. "This young man is hard-working." They called me daughter out of obligation, but him they welcomed as the son they never had. I watched them look at him with the pride they never gave me. They asked about his plans, his future, whether he wanted to settle down and have a family. Meanwhile, Valeria, already graduated and still living at home, stood in the corner with a long face. For the first time I had something she wanted. A year later, on a quiet night in our kitchen, Sebastian got down on one knee and proposed. I did not even hesitate. Yes. We planned a small intimate garden wedding with few guests, just enough. My parents became intense. "How can you? It is your big day," my mother insisted. "You deserve something bigger." This is big enough for us, I replied. For us it was perfect. Simple vows, a beautiful dinner, natural photos, and finally we returned to our apartment as husband and wife. It felt right, as if my life was finally mine. The honeymoon had barely ended when the questions started. So when is the good news? My mother would say with that smile that was not really a smile. Your father dreams of a grandson. First we want to save for a house, I answered again and again. We want to be stable. Raising a child is not cheap. My father would make a disapproving face. Your mother and I started with nothing and look where we are. At every family meal it was the same. That so-and-so's daughter was already pregnant. That they had another grandchild there. That I kept going as if I were a delayed task. After 2 years of saving, Sebastian and I bought our first small house with a loan that would tie us down for half a lifetime. We put together the down payment with discipline and the monthly payments felt like a weight around our necks. But it was ours. Well, ours and the bank's. I knew the questions would intensify, and yes, they did. What I did not expect was Valeria's announcement just 3 months later. During Sunday lunch with rice and chicken on the table, she said it. I am pregnant. She touched her still flat belly as if she already felt important. It is Matteo's. Matteo was her boyfriend of 6 months. One of those guys who seemed nice at first and then not so much. None of us trusted him, but my parents lit up as if they had been given a prize. The following months were a whirlwind, and as expected, Matteo disappeared as soon as Valeria started showing. One day he stopped answering, the next his things were gone. She returned crying to my parents' house. I thought there would finally be consequences, a scolding, something, but no. My parents turned the house into a shrine for the baby. When little Sophia was born, it was as if royalty had arrived. They bought a crib, stroller, piles of clothes and boxes of diapers. Valeria's room became the nursery. My mother walked around in a trance, carrying her and saying, "Look how beautiful she is, Elena. Doesn't it make you want one?" What hurt was not just the pressure, but seeing Sebastian with Sophia. He would get on the floor to play, make faces, and carry her carefully as if born for it. My mother would say it pointedly. Sebastian is a natural with children. He is going to be an incredible father. I started counting days, taking vitamins, reading everything, and doing things right month after month. And nothing. Meanwhile, Sebastian went to my parents' house more often. To see Sophia, he would say. And yes, he loved her, but I started feeling a strange emptiness. Sometimes he would go during the week for a bit and return late. Sometimes on Sundays he stayed longer because Valeria was tired or Sophia was fussy. Without realizing it, he was already handling things there. An errand, a favor, "Hey, can you help me carry this?" On the drive back he would be excited. "She is almost walking," he would tell me. "Today she almost said uncle." I would smile, but inside a knot formed. After a year of trying without success, I kept telling myself these things take time. Until my mother found out we had been trying for a year and it got worse. "A year? No, Elena, something is wrong. You need to see a specialist." Before I left that same day, she was already sending me contacts by message. Clinics, doctors, the number of an excellent gynecologist. Consultations that cost thousands, as if buying tortillas just to leave me in peace. Sebastian went with me. He held my hand in the consulting room with the smell of disinfectant and white walls that made me feel small. Tests, ultrasounds, more tests. And one day the doctor sat in front of me with that serious face, preparing me for the blow. "I am sorry," she said gently. "The diagnosis indicates infertility. Your chances are very low." I felt the ground disappear beneath me. Sebastian squeezed my hand, but I barely felt it. The doctor spoke of options, treatments, assisted reproduction, adoption, but her voice faded away as if I were underwater. That night in the kitchen with takeout I could not eat. Sebastian tried to hold us together. "We can try something or think about adopting. The world does not end." I nodded, but I felt broken. And on top of that, how would we face my family? I said it at the next family meal, like ripping off a bandage. "Mom, Dad, I went to a specialist." I swallowed. "I cannot have children. They said it is very difficult, almost impossible." The silence became heavy. So heavy my ears rang. My mother reacted first, but not how I needed. Her face twisted as if disgusted. "And then what?" she said with a hard voice. "What kind of woman cannot even do that?" My father did not even look at me. "Just a pretty shell," he murmured. "Not even for the basics." Valeria, with Sophia on her lap, smiled maliciously. "Well, now we know who is really a woman." I turned to Sebastian desperately, hoping he would say something to defend me, put a stop to it, but he stared at his plate. Tears came hot without permission. I stood up as best I could and left without hearing my mother shouting for me to return. After that night I could not return to that house. But Sebastian did, and that was the worst. He kept going and coming back with stories. Sophia learned a song, he would say. Would you have laughed? Or worse, Valeria made a delicious lasagna, she is really getting the hang of it. Every comment felt like a little stab in the same spot. I went to bed late, staring at the ceiling, listening to Sebastian's breathing, wondering what I did not want to ask. If he resented me, if he was getting tired, if he was listening too much to my parents. One normal Tuesday everything broke. I left work early while it was still sunny and went to buy Chinese food, Sebastian's favorite. I arrived home and it was dark and empty. His car was not there. It was not unusual for him to go out, but something felt wrong. I called, no answer. I called again, voicemail, and then my phone vibrated. A notification. Valeria had posted a photo. I rarely checked her things, but for some reason I clicked. My stomach dropped. There was Sebastian sitting in my parents' living room with Sophia on his lap and Valeria pressed close to him, smiling as if it were the most normal thing in the world. The caption said, "Family time with my favorite people." My hands shook. I grabbed the keys and drove with my heart in my throat all the way back, fighting traffic. I kept telling myself there could be an explanation, that I could not do what my head was already imagining, but my instinct already knew. The driveway was full, my mother's car, my father's truck, Sebastian's car. The gate was open because it was a family meal day with people coming and going. I slipped in quietly. The voices came from the living room. "Sebastian," my mother said sweetly, "you are already like a son to us and you deserve to be happy." My father added, as if closing a deal, "He has been wonderful with Sophia. And Valeria. Valeria is young, she can give you more children." My mother lowered her voice, but not enough. "Why tie yourself to someone who cannot have children?" I could not breathe. I burst in. "What are you doing?" Everyone startled. The scene looked like a nightmare. My parents on the sofa, Valeria beside them, Sebastian in the armchair, Sophia playing on the floor with blocks as if nothing. A complete family. Without me. At least Sebastian had the decency to look ashamed. My parents did not. They stood firm. "Elena," my mother said, standing with her chin high. "We are speaking honestly about what is best." "Best," I repeated, trembling. "You are telling me you want my husband to leave me for my sister." My father did not flinch. "Someone has to think about his future. You cannot give him what he wants, what he deserves. Valeria can." I looked at Sebastian, begging with my eyes for him to say something, send him away, defend our marriage. Sebastian stared at the floor. "Sebastian," my voice broke. "Say something." He swallowed. "I am sorry, Elena," he said softly. "But they are right. I want children, I want a family. And I got more involved here with Sophia, with Valeria, and it got out of hand." Valeria smiled as if she had finally been given what she had waited for. She put her hand on Sebastian's arm confidently. "Go on," she told me. "You are not part of this anymore." My face went cold. I looked at them one by one. The cold satisfaction of my mother, the harsh judgment of my father, Valeria's triumphant smile, and Sebastian avoiding my eyes. Years of enduring, trying, wanting to belong. All thrown away in a minute. I did not shout. I did not beg. I did not make a scene. I turned and left. I drove without feeling the road. I got home, packed a suitcase like a robot, and left a note on the table. "Ask for the divorce. My lawyer will contact yours." The divorce was quick by mutual agreement, but not easy. The house still had the loan, so we did the most practical thing. Sebastian kept the debt and paid my share little by little with transfers. I just wanted to close that chapter. I moved to a small apartment. I threw myself into work. I wanted to disappear, but social media does not forgive. One day at the office, a colleague said, "No way," looking at her phone. "Elena, I am sorry, I forgot to stop following your sister." She tried to cover the screen, but I had already seen it. Valeria in a huge white dress, Sebastian in a suit. My parents smiling as if everything was perfect. "It is fine," I said. Though it was not. "I hope it goes well for them." Months later they announced another baby. The family they took from me now had a complete photo. Sophia, the new girl, Valeria, Sebastian, and my parents finally happy. That day I deleted my accounts. I did not want to see anything. And then life surprised me. One Saturday at the supermarket my cart bumped into another. Some things fell. I was about to apologize when a deep voice said it first. Sorry, I am really clumsy. I looked up and saw calm brown eyes. A kind gaze that did not judge. I am Gabriel, he said, helping me pick things up. Let me buy you a coffee to make up for it. That coffee became dinner. Dinner became dates, and without realizing it I was falling in love again. But with Gabriel I was honest from the beginning. I could not live with hidden fear again. 6 months later one night I told him with my heart in my hand. I need to tell you something. I let it out. They told me I cannot have children, that it is very difficult. Gabriel took my hands as if they were precious. Elena, he said firmly without drama, I love you. If one day we want children we will see adoption or not, but I am here with you. I cried with relief, with exhaustion, with everything. We got married in a civil ceremony, something simple with close friends, no family, no expectations, no show, just us. A year later I started feeling strange. Dizziness, morning nausea, a fatigue that would not go away. Gabriel would not let me tough it out. We are going to the doctor, he insisted. I do not like how you look. I went thinking they would say anemia, stress, whatever. The doctor saw the results, smiled and said, congratulations. You are pregnant. I froze. How? That cannot be. They told me it was almost impossible. The doctor looked at me calmly. It happens, it is rare, but sometimes it does. That night Gabriel and I cried embraced in the living room. We cried with joy, with fear, with disbelief, as if life had returned something I had already buried. I did not tell my family, not out of revenge, but out of boundaries. They had already chosen. 9 months later I had my son. Healthy, perfect, a boy. We named him Alejandro. When I held him in my arms with that little face and closed hands I felt no resentment or need to prove anything, only love. Life settled. Alejandro grew with laughter, bedtime stories, family dinners. Gabriel was the kind of father who gets up even when tired, who carries, who rocks, who gets excited over everything. We hardly went out to eat, to be honest. We preferred something at home. But one day Gabriel received a promotion and we wanted to celebrate. We went to a nice French restaurant where everything is quiet and people speak softly, and there I saw them. At first I thought I was mistaken, but no. Valeria was at a secluded table hugging a man who clearly was not Sebastian. She laughed, fixed her hair, looking confident, too confident, as if the world did not exist. I felt a sharp blow in my chest. Not from jealousy but from memory. I took out my phone discreetly and snapped some photos. The light was dim but it was clear. Gabriel touched my arm. Are you okay? You went pale. I showed him the screen. It is Valeria with someone who is not her husband. Gabriel clenched his jaw. He knew everything. Are you going to send them? He asked. My finger hovered over the easy quick option, one click and her world would explode. I stayed still for a second. No, I said. In the end I saved the photos in a folder. I will not be like them. Almost a year passed. Alejandro was already 3. He talked about everything, carried his little truck everywhere. One afternoon we went to visit a friend who lived near the area where I grew up. The weather was nice and we decided to walk to the park after stopping at a nearby supermarket. There they were, my mother, my father, Valeria and Sebastian, loading bags into the trunk. We saw each other at the same time. Their reaction was immediate. They acted as if we did not exist. Noses in the air, looking away like strangers. But then they saw Alejandro. My son held my hand and would not stop talking about the park. My mother froze. Who is that boy? She blurted out, unable to stop herself. I could have kept walking. It would have been best. But something stronger in me made me stop. He is my son, I said. His name is Alejandro. Valeria let out an ugly little laugh. Oh please, we all know you cannot have children. Where did you get him from? Some institution? I looked at her directly without trembling. I had him, I said. He was born 3 years ago. My mother opened her mouth as if she lacked air. But the doctor was wrong. I cut her off. It happens, it is rare, but it happens. My father took a step toward us with wide eyes. A grandson. We have a grandson. My mother stretched out her arms as if she had the right. Elena, I am your mother. Let me see the boy even for a little bit. I stepped in front of Alejandro instinctively like a shield. No, I said firmly. You do not get to do that. You do not throw me away like garbage and then come play family when it suits you. My mother frowned, offended, as if I were the bad one. Elena, please. You lost that right when you humiliated me and betrayed me. Valeria turned red. It was clear it hurt her that attention shifted to my son. Sophia was already in kindergarten and little Lucia was still small, but Valeria could not stand not being the center. Get over it already, she spat. Oh, you had a boy. So what? I won in the end. I kept your husband. I gave him a real family. 2 girls. I am still better than you. I breathed slowly and without hurry took out my phone. Sebastian looked up suspiciously. What are you doing? I looked at him calmly. Since we are talking about family, Valeria, why do you not tell them about your little outings? Valeria tensed. What are you talking about? I opened the gallery and showed Sebastian the restaurant photos. Here is your wife, I said without raising my voice. With another. Valeria's face fell apart. Sebastian grabbed the phone as if it burned him. Who is this? He asked, his voice broken with anger. My mother and father approached, looking at the screen. Their faces fell. How could you? My mother said, scandalized. Valeria stammered. He is a work friend. Friends do not behave like that, I said. And certainly not hiding. Sebastian started shouting. Valeria too. They're in the parking lot with bags half loaded and people turning to look. I took Alejandro's hand. Let's go, my love, I told him softly. It is getting late. My son did not understand. He just asked if the park had a slide, and that made me laugh from nerves from relief. We left them with their chaos. A month later the full gossip reached me, because in Mexico it always does. They say Sebastian with the seed of doubt asked for tests and something left him cold. He had had a problem from before. He was the one who could not. And then the inevitable came. Sebastian demanded a test for Lucia. There were fights, shouts, lawyers. The test said what no one wanted to say out loud. Lucia was not Sebastian's. Sebastian left the house. He distanced himself from Valeria. With Sophia, as he was never her legal father, he simply stepped away and stopped seeing her. With Lucia he fought to make it clear she was not his daughter. Everything ended with the perfect family shattered to pieces. Valeria returned to my parents' house with the girls, with her life in ruins, and then they came looking for me. Calls, emails, messages, even came to knock on my door. One afternoon my mother stood at the entrance with teary eyes. Elena, she begged. We were wrong horribly. Let us see Alejandro. He is our only grandson. The family is asking about you. There it was, the concern about what people would say. I looked at her without hatred, without desire to punish. Only with clarity. You should have thought of that before, I said. Before telling me I was worthless, before helping destroy my marriage. My mother tried to approach. Please. No, I repeated. You chose, and so did I. That night Gabriel hugged me while Alejandro built towers with blocks in the living room. Family is not blood, he said. It is respect, it is loyalty, it is love. And they gave you none of that. He was right. I looked at my home, my quiet dinners, Alejandro's laughter, Gabriel's care, and understood something it took me years to accept. Sometimes the family you were born into is not the one you get to keep forever. Sometimes you have to build your own with people who truly choose you and care for you without conditions. I chose Gabriel, Gabriel chose me, and together we chose Alejandro. And Alejandro, with his first smile, his first word, with the way he holds our hands when we cross the street, chose us back. That for me is family, and I would not trade it for anything. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.